Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're once again working on the Dana 44 out of the True Spirit, which is a 1974 Dodge pickup. Specifically today, we're going to be working on getting this wheel joint out. Let's get to it. The first thing we have to do is we have to get this hub out. I've already got a video for how to do that. I'll put that right up here in the corner. Once you have the hub off, the next step is we need to take the backing plate off. We don't need to take the brakes off the backing plate, we can just take it off as one assembly. So you pull all those nuts off, then we've got this is the wheel cylinder. We have a brake hose that goes into it back here, or a brake line, so we've got to remove that next. It's just screwed in on this end into the wheel cylinder, so we just have to rotate this. But what that's going to do is want to twist this line. So we actually have to disconnect it back here so that the whole hose can twist in order to unscrew it. Next up, we need to remove the spindle, which is this piece. You've got an axle shaft that runs through it here. The spindle is this piece that sticks out to this flange. This flange separates from this knuckle. First thing to do is break it free. I'm just going to use a 2x4 and a hammer. This has probably been on here since 1974. It does not want to come off. It's a bit stubborn, so I'm going to try a little bit of heat. It didn't want to come off easily. No surprise, it's been on there for probably near 50 years. So the next step is we're going to put one of these lock nuts back on. Make sure you're fully threaded. Then I'm going to use a gear puller and grab on to that nut and push against the axle shaft. So I've just grabbed onto that spindle nut. Now I'm going to use the impact to drive this in, and hopefully it comes out. You can see it's starting to separate. Holy crap, look at that. That thing was so tight that the puller flexed and broke this nut. So I guess if you're going to do this, double stack the nuts. Well, it looks like I need a puller that is specific for this application. I still have one good nut left. And I have this four-wheel drive socket, and I've got the center bolt out of my gear puller. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to braze this on here, and then the reason I'm going to braze that is because that other thing cracked, and so this is pretty hard steel, and I don't know that the two will just weld together. I could try to weld it, but I think brazing will work better. And then I'm going to braze a nut on the back of this, a grade 8, maybe a pair of them, stack them so I have more thread, and run this thing through. Unfortunately, this is a 1/2 inch hole, this is a 5/8, so I need to open this up, and of course I don't have a 5/8 drill bit, so put it in here and use the boring bar and open that thing up to 5/8 or a little bit bigger, so I can put the nut right on, and then this will pass right through. And yes, I know you can buy one of these tools. I looked it up, but you know, the reality is it's about 80 bucks. And what fun is that when you can make your own? All right, got one hole through there. Now, to braze this on here, so we've got threads for the spindle, and then braze a couple of 5/8 nuts on the backside. Gonna be one of those days. Let's try this again. It's still got quite a bit of flux on it, but it's clean enough to do the job. Threads are clean and oiled there, and I clean and oiled those. I did a double nut here to make sure that I have enough threads, because that's what's going to be doing the pulling, and I didn't want to pull the threads out of the nut. They're both grade 8. And then this is that 4-wheel drive socket, and then this is the nut that was still remaining that didn't fold over. So instead of just pulling in 2 spots like it was doing with the gear puller, it'll pull the full 360 degrees. So hopefully this will pull it out. Let's go give it a try. It turns out that the backside of this nut is extremely thick, and I just could not get it hot enough for that bronze to flow down in between the nut and the backside. So really it was just kind of a fillet on there that was not giving much holding power. What I ended up doing was just cleaning everything off with the grinder, then going back with the MIG and hitting it really hot, basically as hot as the MIG would go, and running down into that and melting into it. The 2 nuts are still brazed together, and I think that's just fine. They both got nice and hot. The problem was I just could not get any adhesion between the nut and the socket because this just would not get hot enough. Let's give this a try. So the puller works. It actually makes quick work of it. So if you don't have the ability to make one, I highly recommend buying one. Once you have the spindle off, this propeller shaft just pulls straight out. It's got lots of dirt and rust on it, but you just keep wiggling it. There we go. That gets us to this propeller shaft joint. This one feels a bit crunchy, so it definitely needed replacing. Then the propeller shaft is out. That's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.